Welcome to WTF, What's the Frequency? With me, Vanessa Alston, your quantum healer. Now, people often say to me, this positivity malarkey is all well and good when you're in a good place and everything's going quite well. But what do you do when you get a life-threatening diagnosis? It's impossible to be positive when you're terrified that you might die. Well, get ready to be inspired as I introduce you to an exceptional individual who's turned adversity into empowerment. Meet Carlin Hafiz, a survivor, a warrior, and a beacon of strength. Diagnosed not once, but twice with triple negative breast cancer in 2013 and 2022. Carlin's journey is a testament to the resilience and the power of the human spirit. From her battles with cancer emerged a force to be reckoned with. Carlin is now a certified health and wellness coach, herbalist, and motivational speaker. Her company, Sankora LLC, offers culturally inspired herbal formulas that support holistic well-being. She's also the driving force behind the Pink House, a non-profit aiding women of colour fighting triple negative cancer. Carlin's mantra: you're in the driver's seat of your health, put your seatbelt on and breathe. This is a journey into wellness and empowerment with the inspiring even, Carlin Hafiz. Welcome, Carlin. It's so lovely to have you on the
Vanessa. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And I can't wait for you to drop some bombs of wisdom for anybody out there that's had the sort of diagnosis that you did. So I'm going to jump straight in and say to you, what is triple negative breast cancer and why does it mainly affect women of colour?
Okay, well, triple negative breast cancer is not your typical breast cancer. You know, there is the estrogen receptive positive, there is the progesterone positive, or HER2 or the human growth protein. And so with triple negative, you do not find any of those three connected to it. So triple negative breast cancer has none of the hormonal blockers. And the issue with it is that Black women have a higher incidence of triple negative breast cancer. It is aggressive. It is very challenging to treat. And also, we are twice as likely to be diagnosed than white women. And 30% of us die from the disease. So
Oh
triple
my
negative breast
goodness.
cancer, yeah, like I said, it's a very, very aggressive cancer, and you're doing great if you do not have a recurrence within 1 to 5 years. And as you mentioned, I am a two-time triple negative breast cancer survivor turned thriver. I was diagnosed 10 years ago with triple negative, and again, the day before Thanksgiving, November 2022. So, yeah.
Oh, Carlin, you know, your story is so amazing because at no point, it sounds to me, did you slip in, and I'm sure you did for a little while, as anybody would, you know, you're human, but at no point did you slip into or stay in the victim zone. Talk to me about how important that is.
Oh my goodness, Vanessa, it's very, very important not to slip into the victim mode. I mean, we're human, right? I'm human. And so, of course, I did have the fear factor. And it's funny when I use that fear, the word, because I look at it as you have two options. You can forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. And I chose to use the second fear and face everything and rise. You know, it's easier to slip into what I call the dark side, the victim, feeling like, oh my goodness, why did this happen to me? what is going on? And I did. I felt that way, especially the first time. But the second time, I knew that again, I have to beat this. I will beat this. And I am a true believer that our thoughts become things. So if I thought that I was going to die, then I feel like my cells would not have taken in the chemo. But I chose to rise to the occasion, and once I did that, my thoughts were positive. I could not wait to finish and get to the end of the race, you know? And I knew that I was going to beat this, and again, I knew that my thoughts would help my cells absorb the chemotherapy and take what was given to me in order to survive and then thrive and live the rest of my life.
I love that. I love that because I talk to clients all the time about, how our thoughts and emotions become our reality. And that's exactly what you've said. You took a decision to change your mindset, to embrace the treatment, which is not nice, let's face it. And excuse me, and
Mhm.
and always imagine yourself being better. And here you are today, you know, better, healthier, you know, a shining light to all of us. So, when people say to me, oh, that's woo woo, I'm going to, point to you and say, no, it's not. Listen to
Right.
this amazing individual who just through mindset made herself well again. So that's amazing. Now, you say it mainly affects women of colour. How aware are people of this? Because I wasn't aware of it at all. And I want to make sure that everybody I know that potentially could be affected is looking into this and taking good care of their health and making sure that, they catch something like this as soon as they possibly can.
Yes. So with triple negative breast cancer, well, first of all, let me back up. You mentioned my favorite quote is when it comes to your health, we have to be in the driver's seat, right? You put your seatbelt on and you breathe because once you get a diagnosis, such as cancer, diabetes, whatever it may be, I know for me, I was overwhelmed. My mind was just all over the place, and so a lot of times for Black women, I will be honest, I feel like we're super women. All women are super women. But I feel like with all of the disproportionate, your neighborhoods, some women are just afraid to go to the doctor. You might feel a little lump or, and you think, okay, it's not a big deal. And and unfortunately for Black women with triple negative breast cancer, sometimes by the time we go to the doctor to get things checked out, they're already in stage 3 or 4, and stage
Oh, my
4 is
goodness.
metastatic. Yeah. And so and again, I just briefly spoke about disproportionate, right? Healthcare. And unfortunately, you have some communities of color, women who do not have health insurance, and so when they feel that lump, it's like, what can I do about it? What can I do? And I have a friend who actually had health insurance, really good health insurance, went to the doctor because her breast was swollen and it was hurting. And she went to see her doctor, and the doctor said, oh, it might be a little infection, no big deal, and gave her antibiotics for it. Well, a couple of weeks later, it got worse. So she went back to her doctor and said, something's going on, because by that time she started having leakage coming out of her nipple. And this friend of mine is a woman of color, African American, and again, great insurance. And by the time the doctor finally decided, oh, we better do a mammogram, well, my friend was at that time then diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, stage 3.
I think that just speaks volumes, really, doesn't it? About taking the steering wheel literally on your healthcare. Because a similar thing happened to me when I was diagnosed with degenerative arthritis, and they said your future's a wheelchair. And I was like, no, it is not. There's other options out there. And they said, well, we can give you a chemo drug. I was like, hang on, I haven't got cancer. And we're going to give you 5 other drugs to counteract the chemo drugs. And it was like, and they're going to do what? Destroy my liver, destroy my kidneys. So I looked for holistic solutions. And as you know, I mean, we've talked about this before, I was cured by a healer. And, you know, I when I say that, I was cured. I wasn't made less worse, I was made better. So that really leads me on to, you know, how did you get started with herbal medicine?
Oh my goodness. I love telling this story because the herbal medicine has been in my family for years. I remember watching my grandmother. My grandmother would go out into, the front yard and she would pick dandelions out of the yard, right? And I swore weeds, but they weren't weeds. It was herbal medicine. And so my grandmother would make dandelion root tea or sarsaparilla tea or different, herbal blends that we would have to drink. Also, where I'm from in Missouri, burdock root grows on the side of the road as well as red clover. And so again, just watching my grandmother, my great aunts, watching my mother, my aunts, I say we really dug deep into our Cherokee heritage. So, and African heritage as well. But I've been loving herbs ever since I've existed on this earth, and that's been for a very long time, very long time.
I love that because so many people are so detached from nature and won't dream about looking outside in the wild for a cure. And yet, nature's given us everything we need, and it's the knowledge of your
Yeah.
ancestors that's actually saving lives and helping people get better now. Now, one of the things I'm really interested in is you're able to channel, aren't you? Do you want to explain what that is and also how it's come into you developing your magical formulas?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I do. I channel. I always say, my mother is one of 13 and my mother is number 7. And number 7 is my favorite and lucky number. And my mother too is a Pisces and a channeler as well. We've talked about this several times. I would share with my mother or some of my aunts that, I had this dream and it felt so real and I'm really intrigued by it. And they're looking at me like, okay, no big deal. That's what we do. So, but yes, so in particular with, I started making sea moss gel. And sea moss is an algae, from the sea, from the ocean. And I started making that. In 2020. Well, actually, I was making it before, but then it became the rage, in 2020. And I remember I was working and I heard that voice. And it's so funny because that voice always comes in, it's a familiar voice, right? So it's either one of my grandmothers or grandfather, someone. And so this particular day, it was my mother's mom, who I was really close to. And she was like, go make some sea moss. And I thought, okay. And Vanessa, it was so beautiful because she gave me the ingredients. She gave me the ingredients to put into this particular blend. And when I did it, I thought, okay, let me try it and see because sea moss is horrible. But I tried it and the room started spinning and I was like, oh my gosh, but I was tired, and so I laid down on the couch for a little bit and about 30 minutes later I got up and had all of this energy. And so that voice said, put it out there, put it on Facebook, let people know what you're doing. And I fought it a little bit because I thought I don't want to, because like I said, it became so commercialized and people were just talking about it during the beginning of COVID. And it was like that little gnawing in my ear to put it out there. And when I did, the House of Sankofa was born. And it's been going ever since, House of Sankofa. And and it was amazing. So that has been happening to me now all the time. So I will wake up in the middle of the night. I keep a notebook on my nightstand now because I will get herbal blends in the middle of the night, and I'm writing it down. And even this morning, I got up and I usually start my day. I'll burn a little sage, Nag Champa, and I'll turn on my record player, not my iPod, not Apple Music, but my record player. And this morning, the blend that came to me was holy basil, lemongrass, and peppermint. And it was amazing. So, yes, that happens to me quite a bit.
I love that. I love that. And I particularly love it because it makes me feel comfortable that, that happens to me. And I think a lot of people ignore those voices. They're there for all of us. That information is out there. We just have to ask for it. And whether it's your ancestral spirits or other spirits, your spirit guides connected to you, you will get that information if you ask for it. But we're so fearful of listening to our inner self. And I want you to just talk to me about self-love and the big part that really has in listening to those voices and receiving the information.
Yeah, so self-love is big, especially when we've been through things, right? Been through things in our lives, the trauma, all of the things that just make us want to run and hide or hide behind a rock. And so honestly, I'm learning the self-love piece of it all over again because now I look different. I've lost some of my hair, and that's a whole nother story because I actually have hair after chemo. But I've lost lashes, the breasts look different, the body looks different. And so the self-love for me is, like I mentioned, getting up in the morning, starting my day first in gratitude and saying thank you. Thank you to God and to the universe that I woke up, right? And so and again, the self-love is the burning the incense that's calling to me. And I come in and I have a conversation with my ancestors, but I do that all the time. And putting on music because music is just my thing. It calms me down. Some mornings or even during the day, I will take my shoes off and I walk in my backyard. I have a beautiful orange tree back there. And so all of that is self love, being kind to yourself, just loving yourself. And sometimes my ancestors, God, the angels, the universe will tell me, Carlin, stop, take a sip of water, just drink some water. Or sometimes I'm led to, you know what, just take a drive and feel the wind. Or one of my favorite things is when it rains, just go and dance in the rain, stand in the rain, enjoy it. Enjoy it. So I feel like self-love is being present and enjoying life. Enjoying life. We only have one, right? Enjoy it.
I love what you said there. Be grateful you woke up. That should be the start of everybody's day. Thank you for another day. Thank you that I'm breathing. Thank you that I can move.
Yeah.
And thank you I can get out of bed unencumbered. Because both you and I know what it's like when you can't. So
Yes.
it's lovely to hear you say that,
Yes.
but also to see the joy shining out of you when you say it. Because
Yeah.
These things really do lift our vibrational frequencies and allow us
Yeah.
to shift from misery into joy. So
Mhm.
I want to ask you now, how did you we've talked a lot about serendipity. So you started creating your herbal remedies, and
Mhm.
then what happened?
So I started creating my herbal remedies. And then, I mean, so much has happened, So I started doing that. I started my business, House of Sankofa. And then I also connected with an amazing, amazing naturopathic doctor. And she introduced me to this amazing new lifestyle, which is called Swami, or So What Am I genotype lifestyle. And so what that is basically um, finding out what foods are medicinal, superfoods, or inflammatory to your body based off of your genetics. Isn't that amazing?
That's incredible. So just wind that back a minute there for anybody that's on a particular diet that they think is really good for them. You're saying that dependent on your DNA, on your bodily makeup, that there is a
Mhm.
specific diet that's right for your type.
Yes. Yes, there is. There is. And the beautiful thing about it is that our blood is and our genetics is basically a blueprint, right? It's the key factor which influences the many areas of our health and our weight and our well-being, And so it's also just with that little single drop of blood, it contains your biochemical makeup. So yeah, and it's your fingerprints, right? It's again the blueprint to who you are. So the thing about diets is not one size fits all. And I do not, and I'm going to say those of us in the Swami community, do not call it a diet. It is a lifestyle. It actually will tell you what foods make you thrive, what foods are medicinal or a superfood for you. So, with me being diagnosed again for the second time with triple negative breast cancer, I decided for me, that is, you asked the question about self love. That's huge. Being intentional with the foods that we're putting in our bodies. And so Swami actually brought me back to, okay, Carlin, now it's time to be disciplined, and be intentional and show up with the things that you're putting in your body. Even though I was on it, and I started Swami in 2021, but I was not as dedicated. I'll be honest. It was like, oh, I want a Snickers candy bar, or I want that piece of cake. And that's fine. That's fine. But also know if chocolate is something that you should be eating. It may not be. It may show up as inflammatory for you. So I love the Swami lifestyle because it has really been a game changer for me. And on my website, houseofsankofa.com, I have some testimony of one of my clients who used Swami, and within 3 months changed her entire life. I know that sounds so dramatic. Oh, it changed your entire life. But it's true. It's really true.
Yeah, but let's wind back on that for a moment because a lot of
Mhm.
people come to me and they say, oh, I feel anxious, I feel depressed, I'm tired all the time. And they've been to the doctors and been prescribed pills, but at no point has anybody said, what are you
Yeah.
eating? How much water are you drinking? You know,
Mhm.
do you take any supplements? And, you know, if you just change your diet and you're really conscious about what you're ingesting, then you're going
Yeah.
to be bolstering the cells that are going to get you over cancer or any illness and disease, most of which are caused by inflammation. So this is
Yeah.
fantastic. But I guess it's bad news for a few vegans out there who might just find out that they should be eating a steak once a week. Is that something that happens quite
Oh,
regularly?
yes, yes. Yes, I was that person. So let me tell you, like, I love tuna. And I mean, something simple, right? And I was wondering, I was just puffy all the time. I mean, of course, it was more than just tuna, but come to find out, when I did Swami, tuna is under inflammatory for me, as well as gluten and avocado. Vanessa, I live in California. So, so avocados are everywhere. And I fell in love with avocado. It's a great fat, right? But no, and not only did I find out that avocado is inflammatory for me, but it is also a food, excuse me, that helps to feed cancer for me. Because what we also can do is apply an artificial intelligence called Deep Blue. And Deep Blue takes it a step further. And in this case, it identified, I had to put in that I had breast cancer. And so, what Deep Blue does, it looks for all of the foods that help to fuel cancer or all of the foods that help to fight cancer. And avocado happens to be a food that helps to fuel cancer in my body. So I was eating gluten sandwiches, right? The bread with tuna, which is inflammatory, and avocado, which is a cancer fueler for me. So yeah, that was really hard. That was hard. And so my naturopathic doctor who runs the labs for me and for my clients, she is a blood type O and meat eater, right? And so she was a vegan and was wondering why she was tired all the time and, and losing hair and different things. And once she did Swami, she thought, oh God, I've got to eat bison. And she said when she did, she never felt better. So yeah, this Swami is it's amazing. I mean, and it's your blueprint, it's your genetics, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things I tell my clients is we're all completely different. We've all got an energetic blueprint, which is absolutely unique and specific to us. So, what you're saying makes perfect sense. I mean, I'm always looking at
Mhm.
energy, but to actually think that Swami is connected to the energetic frequency of the food you're putting into your body that's going to affect your energetic vibration is just the next step in that, really, to, well, just really, really heightened wellness and health, really, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
fantastic. And again, you're giving me
Mhm.
information that I'd heard about it, but I didn't really know much
Mhm.
about it. So how can our listeners and viewers get some Swami?
Yes, yeah, and I also wanted to mention, when I eat the Swami way, when I am eating all of those foods that are medicinal and superfoods for me, oh my goodness, you talk about frequency. I mean, I am bouncing off the walls. It's like, yeah, what's the frequency? That is, I'm bouncing off the walls. The energy is amazing. And people would actually say to me when I would tell them, I just finished going through 4 rounds of chemo, and they're looking at me like, are you serious? You look amazing. But when you are giving yourself the right foods, right? The foods that are speaking your tone and that are making you feel good, you're gonna radiate. Your frequency is gonna be off the charts, like I'm feeling this morning. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's the most amazing. It is the most amazing thing. And too, I've learned to be an intuitive eater. I've learned to be an intuitive eater. I don't just sit around and eat a lot of foods. I wait until my body tells me that, hey, it's time for us to eat. And my body then craves all of those high frequency vibrations, the foods that I know make me feel good. And I love it. It feels so good. I'm telling you. It feels
Th-
amazing.
This is really enlightening. It really is because
Mhm.
we can change our lives tomorrow, literally, by what we're ingesting. And if there was ever a message to people about not eating junk food, this is it. And I love what you said about listen to your body rather than just stuff it down. Because in the West here, we've got fast food, being offered to us on every street corner. And it's so easy to dive in for a double Big Mac or whatever it is, double
Yeah.
cheeseburger. But to know that on so many levels is bad for you, but energetically it's going to harm your physicality should be a real wake-up call to anybody out there who's just about to eat another chocolate bar or call for some fast food delivery. And so a lot of this diet lifestyle, I'll correct myself there,
Mhm.
does it
Yes.
involve raw food? Can you eat normal food? Can I have an Irish stew if I fancy it and it's in line with my swami?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When you make stews and different things, you just put all the foods that align with you, all of your superfoods, medicinal foods. So now when I make a salad, I make sure that I am putting edamame and peas and carrots, all of those vibration foods. And I say vibration because these are superfoods, these are medicinal foods. So when you see the Swami lifestyle, when you see the app that's on your phone, or when you get your 45-page report, it has it color coded. So the superfoods, medicinal foods are in green. And then you have the middle section, which is yellow, and it's neutral foods. These neutral foods are not going to really do much for you. And then you have the red, which is for your inflammatory foods. So yeah, if you're gonna make a stew or a chili or a dinner, whatever, you would just pick from your medicinal superfoods, and you can add in some of your neutral foods as well. Now, so going back to tuna, for me, it's inflammatory, but it has a little dot by it. And so the little dot means that you can eat it, but eat it in moderation. And so what Swami states is that if you have it, then wait 60 to 90 days before you eat it again. And yes, listen to that, because I had the tuna sandwich one day, felt great, had it the next day, and I felt like I had just been hit by a Mack truck. So, you have to give your body time to get it out of your system, right? And then you can introduce it again. But the Swami lifestyle also made me more aware of my body. I was feeling my body. I found the breast cancer 10 years ago, the first time that I had it, because of being very in tune with my body. And so, yeah, so Swami really just heightens that and makes it, just, I'm going to say 10 times more, where your body, you'll feel it and you'll know, because immediately I felt the effects immediately.
I love that. And where can we get some swami? How do we get our hands on this swami lifestyle?
So yes, so you can I'm on Instagram, House of Sankofa, and it's spelled Haus of Sankofa, Sankofa. And on House of Sankofa, there is my link tree. So you just click on the link tree and set up a 15-minute consultation with me, and we can have a conversation and talk about it. So that's how you will find out about Swami.
Well, I definitely want some swami in my life, so I'm going to be in touch with you very soon, and I'm sure you're going to be inundated by people that are
Yes.
watching this and listening to this as the new must-have. Because energetically, vibrational food, feeding your body, why wouldn't you want it? Now,
Yeah.
I want to ask you one more thing. What
Mhm.
is the Pink House all about, and how can it help women of color?
Oh my goodness. The pink house. So the pink house brings me joy, because the pink house came to me. It's so funny. Vanessa, that the Pink House came to me actually 10 years ago. I just didn't have the name. I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. I knew that I really wanted to help women. And so I thought, okay, this is great, but what am I going to do? So I tried to start another nonprofit back then, but I wasn't ready, right? And so it's amazing how when all of the stars align, and so I started working with one of my sorority sisters who's on my board. I started working with her, and I said, I really have to do something. I have to do something, to get the information out there about triple negative breast cancer. So we started talking about it, and we're brainstorming. So she's like, "Well, Carlin, what are you thinking? How are you feeling?" And so I thought, you know what? I want to start a nonprofit, but this time for triple negative breast cancer. I still wasn't clear yet, and I kept going back and forth. And finally, right before my second diagnosis, I said, I want to call it the Pink House. And I do want to focus on triple negative. So the spelling is unique. It's TH with a 3 for triple neg, and pink, and then house, HAUS. So there's something with this HAUS, which we'll have to talk about. I will definitely say that my ancestors definitely reached out with the HAUS. Okay, that's how the spelling is for that. So anyway, so the Pink House is a 501c3 nonprofit, and it is for women of color who are currently going through triple negative breast cancer, who are in treatment. One of the things that I was very blessed about in my journey both times is that I am married, been married for 32 years. And so I have double insurance. But I also thought about the women who may not have insurance or may not have a helpmate, someone to help them during that time. And so I wanted to take some of the pressure off of them thinking about their growing debt, thinking, stressing out about that. And so what the Pink House does, we collect donations to help offset any non-medical costs. So helping them pay for a cell phone bill during their time in treatment, or paying for utilities during their time in treatment. And also the Pink House is all about outreach and education to talk to people about triple negative breast cancer. Something that I do want to make clear, it's not only impacting and affecting women of color, it is also affecting white women as well. It's just that statistically, women of color, specifically African Americans and Latino women, are the ones who are being diagnosed with it daily and most likely to die from it. So it is the duty of the Pink House to go out and talk about it, and also talk about prevention to reduce the risk. And also, I share tips on what to do before, during, and after treatment of triple negative breast cancer.
That's amazing. And I just think, all credit to you. My sister had breast cancer, and she very luckily now has recovered. She's just had a reconstruction, and she is picture of health again, which is great. But the thing that you mentioned there, which really struck a nerve with me, was the fact that, people forget that when you've got cancer, you can't work. And if you can't work, you can't pay your bills. And it's the little things like the telephone bill. You need a phone so that you can hear from your doctor. You need the lights on, because
Yes.
you're going to need hot water, because particularly after chemo, a cold bath's not going to, or a cold shower's not going to do you any good at all. You need some
Yeah.
comfort. And to have the stress of the basics, not being able to afford them, being given to you, is amazing. You must lift so many people up with that work. I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
Well done to you, without sounding patronizing at all, because I can't imagine how you found the strength to do all these things whilst you're fighting cancer.
Yeah, I will attribute it to God first and foremost. I will say my ancestors just, constantly I'm having conversations with them, my parents, my husband, my family, friends. I have an amazing board. Oh my God, my board members are amazing. I have the board consists of 5 people, including myself, an attorney, a PhD nurse, my husband and a CPA. We all get together and we talk about what's going on. But also, I have amazing, amazing advisors. My oncologist and my naturopathic doctor are both advisors to the board. And I've also chosen some amazing people from very, different walks of life who also see the vision and the mission and they believe in it. Each and every one of them have been touched by cancer in their lives, whether it's themselves or by a family member or a friend. And so it just makes it so much easier, when you have the dynamic team behind you. It's great. I love it. I love it. And I just, like I said, I just, you know, to be diagnosed with it twice, and the second time, it was smaller than the first time. I'm so grateful, so grateful. And like your sister, we are these warriors now. We are fighting the fight, right? And our voices have to be heard. We have to get out here and we have to talk about these things. It's and going back to Swami, you mentioned about the foods. You're not on a Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers type of thing where you have to eat certain foods. It's food, all foods, apples, oranges, berries, beef, chicken. It's just what is your makeup, right? And so if I am still here to be able to talk about this, I am still here to tell people, show up, be intentional, be impeccable, just live your life. And here's the thing, Vanessa, if you want a Snickers candy bar, eat it. That's fine. Eat it, but just don't make it a habit. Don't make it a habit, Yeah,
Mm.
live. You have to live.
Absolutely. And God put amazing chocolatiers on this planet for us to enjoy, and it would be rude not to,
Right.
once a month. And that's not gonna I love the fact that you're saying that's not gonna do you any harm. That, don't eat one every day or don't eat 5 a day. So
Right.
it's been truly amazing speaking to you. What is your advice to anybody that's listening to this that's just had the diagnosis of, and not just triple negative cancer, but any sort of cancer? What would be your 3 top tips for setting your mindset into recovery and, you know, recovery and good health again?
I'm going to say first and foremost, breathe. Breathe. Just take a deep breath. For me, taking a deep breath helps me recenter myself because you're getting hit with so much information, so much information. So breathe. Number 2, take someone with you. Take someone with you. When you get that diagnosis, you need someone else to be your ears for you and to also be your eyes because you're taking a moment to breathe and just be in the moment. And do not feel like you are dead. That's the biggest issue is when we hear cancer, we automatically assume the worst. Oh my goodness, I'm going to die. That's not true. Do not create that story. That is not your story. Okay. And the third thing, live your life. I don't care if they tell you that you have stage 4. I have a client right now, stage 4, and she's amazing. She is living her life. She's going to Beyonce. She said, Carlin, I bought a ticket to Beyonce. I'm going to the concert. I said, great. Enjoy it. Live your life. Live your life. Do not allow someone else to be in your driver's seat. That is your car. That is your life. That is your life. Put your seatbelt on and enjoy the ride, and you're going to be fine. Live your life. I mean, listen, I remember I did a interview the first time I was diagnosed on the Today Show. And I remember saying to the commentator, she asked me, "Well, Carlin, are you scared? Were you scared of dying?" And you know what I said to her? I said, "No, I wasn't afraid of dying. I mean, there's not a cure for the common cold. Come on, there's not a cure for the common cold. So guess what? I'm going to beat this. I'm going to be perfectly fine." And that's and the mindset. So just know that you are victorious. Your mindset. I know you said 3, but number 4, you are victorious. You're victorious. It's your mind. Put it in your head that you have beat this, and you'll be fine.
I love that. Shape your own destiny with your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Yeah, because they really do create your future, and you're living proof of that. So, this has been an absolute pleasure. You've been a real inspiration to everybody. Where can we find you?
Okay, you can find me again on Instagram at House of Sankofa, Haus of Sankofa, Sankofa, or the Pink House on Instagram. And that is TH with a 3 and pink and then Haus. Or you can reach me at Carlin at thepinkhouse.org. Or you can reach me at www.houseofsankofa.com. I'm everywhere.
You are, aren't
That's
you?
the beauty
You really are. And
Yes.
listen, we're not going to have any trouble finding you, and that's amazing. Well, listen, everybody, what an inspiration to us all. Look at this woman, diagnosed twice, not once, twice, with triple negative breast cancer. She's here to tell a story of survival and to inspire us all to keep on living, enjoy your life, spread joy, and to remember that your words, your emotions, and your thoughts and your actions really can shape your destiny. Carlin, I can't thank you enough. Your energy has lifted me up, and I know that all our viewers will be feeling exactly the same. Thank you so much for joining us today from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you.